Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about something a little bit different. I've been a private investigator for about 18 years here in the Austin area, and a lot of what I deal with is affairs. So what I want to talk about tonight is not the basic thing everyone else talks about. Why people have affairs, some of the signs of having an affair. That's already been talked about and discussed 1,000 times. What I want to talk about is a little something different. And this is more on my male callers. So I want to talk about what I've learned about the traits of my male callers' personalities whose wives are cheating on them or who they suspect are cheating with them. So I am going to discuss what I've experienced in these type of men. I'm talking personality traits. So basically, is there a type of man that a woman fools around on? I have some very interesting data on this, and I'd like to discuss it with you. Now, this is one of two videos. In my next video, I will be talking about the traits that I've seen in women where men have affairs on them. I will give my perspective when the client is the wife. But for this video, this is going to be when the male is my client and what his personality traits are where women have affairs on them. So I'm going to discuss 3 traits in men that I have observed over the past 18 years when I received the phone call. Now, before I get into this, I want to have a disclaimer here. I in no way endorse cheating or ever think there is a reason to go outside your relationship. But listen, we all know it happens. I wouldn't be in business if it didn't. It's a constant problem we have here in America and probably all over the world. It's just things that happen. Now listen, I've been in business a long time and I've received thousands of phone calls. And after receiving phone calls for years and years, I start to develop a pattern. There starts to be a pattern of the type of people who call me. So today, again, I'm discussing the men's personalities who feel or know that their wives are having an affair on them. Now, people cheat for various reasons. People cheat because they're bored. People cheat because they want new excitement. Sometimes people just cheat because they cheat and it's in their DNA and that's what they're going to do. But I want to get into the personality types of these men. And maybe there's a connection, maybe there's not. I'm just giving you what the data has given me over 18 years. So I'm going to give my examples in percentages. So my first example, personality trait, is 80% of my phone calls. The second and third personality traits are about 10% of my phone calls. And I kind of broke it down that way. I'm going to do the most common personality trait of a man whose wife has an affair on him in my number one. And this is 80% of my phone calls. This is the nice guy. Now, this is the number one trait that men have where wives stray. But I kind of want to get into what is a nice guy, because there's a broad definition. I'm going to give you what my data has shown me over the years. This is a guy that gets the most hurt. So let's describe this guy. He's nice, he's considerate, he buys his wife anything she wants. He kind of spoils her. He's almost overboard in pleasing her. And I'll give you some examples. She goes on girls' nights out. He watches the kids. She goes on vacation by herself with her girlfriends while he stays home and watches the kids. This guy is kind of soft-spoken. He's mild in his temperament. He's very rarely ever abusive. And she kind of runs the show. And he's more the support. He tends to be emotional. And he doesn't have the ability to draw the line in the sand with his wife. When this guy calls me, he's sad, he's hurt, and sometimes it's a little confusing for me because I don't see anger in him. I see more hurt than anything else. This is like the new era man. This is the sensitive guy. This is the guy who talks about his feelings all the time. He's very good to his wife and his family, though. These guys call me up and they say things like, I can't believe she did this to me. I've done so much for her. She is my everything. It's almost, when these guys call me, because this is a new generation man, it's almost a little confusing because sometimes in my mind I'm thinking, aren't you angry? aren't you mad? But he's more into the, I can't believe she did this to me. I did everything for her. Now, what's really weird about this data is it seems to me like the nice guy, and I don't even like really calling him a nice guy. He's really just a guy that loves his wife and loves his family, and he's doing the right thing, and he wants to make sure she's happy. He is the one that is most targeted for affairs. He's the guy that women tend to stray on. Now, this is just from the phone calls I'm getting. These guys call me and they're very emotional. They'll even cry. You can make whatever conclusion you want from this. I'm giving you the data. This guy gets screwed around on more than bad guys do. And I'm going to kind of get into that a little later on, the second and third trait guy. But he's the guy that's going to get the brunt of everything, even though he's doing everything right. Now, when I say he's doing everything right, when I talk to these guys, I get a lot of background on him. He's never had an affair. He has a job. He's providing. He spends a lot of time with the kids. And I know this because when they give me backstories, they can tell me about how the kids are doing in school, the emotional state of their children, those kind of things, where men that are not involved, they don't have any kind of clue about what's going on. This nice guy, he knows, and he's doing his job. And he thinks because he's doing his job that this will never happen to him. And I think that's why he's probably the most devastated out of the three. Now, I don't want to come across as the nice guy finishes last, but the data shows nice guys finish last. Now, that doesn't mean if your husband is a nice guy that does all these things that you're going to have an affair on him. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is this is what the data shows. The women tends to wander on him more than any other guy. It doesn't make any sense to me, but it is what it is, and those are the facts. Let's talk about the next personality trait. This next guy, he's the controlling guy. This is only 10% of my calls, by the way. This is a small portion of my calls. This guy is the complete opposite of the nice guy. This guy controls what his wife does, what she wears, where she goes, and he thinks this type of behavior is going to keep her there. That's his way of thinking. This guy works in reverse. This works in reverse for most women in these circumstances. Usually when you control a woman, she wants to run. Now, when this guy calls, he's a little different. He's a little confused, and he's angry that this has happened to him because he thinks he's taken all the precautions to not let this happen to him. This guy's very irrational, and this is the kind of guy that can be kind of dangerous because he's so used to controlling that when it spins out of control, he'll do whatever he can to get it back under control. However, you got to remember, this guy here, he is not in the number stats. He's very low on the totem pole. This controlling guy that doesn't do what the nice guy does, and sometimes these controlling guys aren't even provider guys. They don't provide and they don't protect. They just control. Some of them don't even have jobs and their wives take care of them, but they control everything. Now this guy, when he's talking to me, he's angry and he wants to try to get the control back. And this guy you've got to be careful of because he does get kind of dangerous at times because you don't know how far he will actually go in order to get back in control because he has completely lost control. Now, the third personality trait, and there, again, this is only 10% of my phone calls. So you've got the nice guy, which is 80, the controlling guy, which is 10. This third personality trait is only 10%, maybe even lower. This is like the narcissistic dude. This guy, it's all about him all the time. This type of personality trait is very exhausting, so they can't hold relationships well. So when the narcissistic guy is with a female, he drains all her energy. He drains it all. And so because he drains it all and she needs some sort of release from that, somebody to give her some compassion, some love, whatever it is, he's not giving her because it's all about him. She tends to wander. But again, this is a very small portion of my phone calls. This kind of guy, nothing's his fault. He'll call me up on the phone and he'll blame everything on her. Everything's her fault. Everything that's wrong in the relationship has to do with her. Like nothing. And here's the other thing about these narcissistic people, these men in these relationships, is nothing is good enough to pay her back. His whole point of his phone call is, how can I get her back? How can I make her pay? It's not so much about that she's had an affair and broken his heart. He wants to make her pay for it. So the conclusion of my data here, the nice guy who does everything for his wife and family is the most targeted for his wife to have an affair, according to my 18 years of receiving data. I don't like it. It's just what the data shows. And I know some females watching this video may think, oh, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. Nah, I kind of do. These are the phone calls I get. And these findings are very odd to me. It tends to indicate that the nice guy does finish last. And of course, I'm not talking about all people. Please don't take this video and think, oh, my husband's nice to me, so I'm supposed to screw around with him, or he's the guy that's going to get. That's not what I'm saying. But the data does point in that direction. You know, today more women are having affairs than ever before. Today's stats indicate that women have just as many affairs as men do. So it's 50-50 now. I think back in the earlier days, maybe in the 50s and 60s, it was probably 90% men, 10% women. Not anymore. Things have changed. I just thought it would be different to do a video on personality traits of men that wives have an affair on. It's a little bit different approach to things. I hope men look at this video and maybe they can learn something from it. I don't know. I hope you've enjoyed my video. Let me know your thoughts on this topic, because it's kind of an interesting topic, and I'd like to hear from the female side and the male side. Has this happened to you? And the female side, have you done this? Have you had a guy that was real nice to you and did everything for you and just wasn't exciting enough for you? Please like and subscribe to my channel. My name is David Watson with Watson PI Services, helping people navigate through difficult circumstances.